Give me a one if you can hear me. I think the mic is working. I think I've got the right mic on. I think I got all that stuff worked out. You are. Oh, wait a second. I got to change this. 1 second. Just take that off. There you go. Good morning. You are live with me, Preston. That's correct. You can get involved because this is live. You can get involved in your comments. I will respond to any comments that come through. Or if you're watching the playback, you can get involved with comments there. I'll go back and check them, maybe respond. Let me get right to the point. Got a story I want to read to you this morning. It's called The King's Road Through Bear Country. Once upon a time, wait a second, where am I? Oh, I'm sorry. Let me start over. Once upon a time, a king wanted farmers and merchants to come to his market quicker so that his wealth would increase. So he built a road through a forest with a large bear population, ignoring the advice of his counselors to not do it because of the bears. He did it anyways. At the entrance to that forest lived a young blind beggar. As travelers would come, he would listen and tell the travelers if he heard any bears nearby. If the young man heard bears rustling about in the bushes, he would warn the travelers not to enter the forest, but rather to go the long way around. It's safer. Travelers enjoyed not being eaten by bears, and many would give a little alm to the youth in appreciation. In time, the king noticed that merchants and farmers and travelers weren't arriving to market any sooner than before the forest road was completed. So he inquired to learn why. When the king heard about the advice the young blind man was giving to travelers, he was furious. The king put a sign at the entrance right next to where the blind boy would hang out. He put a sign at the entrance of the forest that read, "Listen not unto the counsel of the blind, for they are in the dark, and so are those who follow them. Also, the bears in the forest aren't that bad. Yours truly, the king." One day, a traveler approached the forest and was reading the king's sign when the blind youth raised his voice and said, "Best to go around the forest today. I hear an unnatural movement in the undergrowth." "So what?" asked the traveler. "So what is it?" asked the traveler. "I'm not sure," said the blind man. "Could be a bear." "Why should I listen to you?" asked the traveler. "You're blind." "So are you when it comes to objects obscured by bushes and shrubs," answered the young man. The traveler listened and gave a coin to the blind fellow and proceeded to take the long way around. Just to be safe, most every traveler ignored the king's sign about the blind man, or about the blind, and took the advice of the young man. This angered the king because people were getting to the market a little at the same time. So he sent soldiers and had the blind man put in prison. After that, many merchants and farmers and travelers began to arrive quicker to the king's market, and the king's wealth did indeed grow. But as many as came early to market, many went into the forest and were never seen again. What's the moral of the story? I hope you can see the moral in itself without having to have it explained to you. But I do want to point out, who do you think the bad guy in the story was? You think it was the king? Well, you'd be pretty accurate to say, this king was the bad guy. He built this road. It was unsafe. Then when there was somebody trying to give good advice, he shot that down. He was obscuring the truth facts. But I would suggest that the king, he's not really evil. He's just got different priorities. I want us to realize this, that in life, people that we're going to think are evil and out to get us, they're not really evil and out to get us. They just have different priorities than us. Their priorities might be money. And that's a little word of advice for any of these preachers or politicians or businessmen, philanthropists who are out there and they seem to be good Remember, they've got a different priority than you. And I want to move straight from that. I want to move from that straight into this news story I came across this morning. Check this out. Okay, where am I? Let me get over here to it. White supremacists are rallying. I'm sorry, riling. Is that how you spell riling? I never used the word riling, so I don't know how to spell it. White supremacists are riling up thousands on social media. White nationalists and supremacists are building thriving macho communities. Macho community? What the hell is that? Back in my day, a macho community was nothing that a normal person would want to be part of. Macho, macho man. I think they sing that at weddings and stuff like that. YMCA, or is that a different song? Macho Man by the Village People is a different song than YMCA, isn't it? Am I correct in that? I don't know. But listen, they're building up macho communities. Sounds horrible. Across social media platforms. If you continue on, first off, look at it. Look at that little photo they got there. Look at that. It's from the shooting at the grocery store. But the photo they put on there is not photo evidence of these white supremacists. Well, I guess you could say it kind of is, because the guy that shot up that grocery store, I think that's the one from Buffalo. Allegedly, according to news sources and his social media, he had a bunch of anti black stuff. He had a bunch of white power stuff. I guess that's what I've heard from the media. So, anyways, they got that up there to get you all riled up. Oh my gosh, look at that. Bullet holes, guns, to make you afraid. If you go on you jump down here, it says they're snarky memes. Okay, so this is the things that they're saying that these white supremacists are putting on social media and that you should look out for. Snarky memes and trendy videos, riling up thousands of followers on divisive issues, including abortion, so called abortion, guns, immigration, and LGBTQ rights. So basically, if you post a meme that makes fun of any of those issues or takes a conservative view on any of those issues, basically, you are the problem. You are a white nationalist. You are a racist, bad, evil person. You can continue to read this. I got this. What is this? This is NBC, right? Isn't that what that is? Which is the one with the peacock there? I think that's NBC. It's not ABC, NBC. But I got this from the news, NBC News. And they go on to talk about the Buffalo shootings, the Pittsburgh shooting, El Paso shootings, all white guys with guns who were angry and posted a bunch of hateful stuff all over social media. This is very true. It's very true that they did this. It's also true that a couple of weeks before the Buffalo grocery store shooting, that there was a black guy who had a bunch of hateful stuff all over his social media, and he went to the subway and shot up a bunch of people. And there's been countless others. What about gang members? What about gang members who use social media to recruit? Well, let me back up. I'm getting ahead of myself. It goes on to say that these groups, that they are using social media to recruit people into their organizations. You can read the whole thing. Facebook and countless other groups, social media platforms, they're bringing in experts from the government, anti-terrorist experts, all these other people on their payroll to track down these terrorists, these white supremacist, right-wing nuts. To some, I guess that's good. But when you read the article, it talks about the fact that a meme can be construed as that, an opposing viewpoint to the mainstream narrative of LGBTQ rights is going to be deemed as hate speech. And I know if you're watching this on Facebook, consider yourself lucky, because I've been put in Facebook jail, and there's all kinds of restrictions all over my Facebook page because I spoke up against a person who was railing on a friend of mine about LGBTQ rights and stuff like that. You can't speak up against this stuff. They will shut you down. They'll suspend you. They'll put you to the bottom. They sent me an email saying that all of my posts are put to the bottom. They're going to bury my posts underneath everybody else's posts. And they told me that. I'm not making this up. That's exactly what they said in the message that they sent to me. But my point is, right? Um, they're bringing in experts to come along and say that anything that you might put on your social media that goes against anything that is against their mainstream narrative that they're trying to push is wrong and it's hate, and you're just a murderous neo-Nazi. They're painting with broad strokes, broad brush strokes here, and it's dangerous and it's evil. But again, we're not going to get caught up in what's evil, because just like the king in the story, I'm not going to say that it's evil. I'm just going to say they got different priorities. And I'm not sure what their priorities are. But anybody who's got money behind them, these platforms are trying to make money. They're not trying to spit the truth out there. They're just trying to make money. So can you blame them for that? I don't know. What do you think? Leave a comment. Can you blame Facebook? Can you blame Twitter? Can you blame, what's the other one? Well, I can't remember what the other one was. Twitter, Telescope, or not Telescope. What was that? Instagram, a couple other, Telegram. Can you blame them from doing that? No, because their priority is to make money. They don't realize that what they're doing is suppressing the truth. And I don't mean that anybody that takes to social media and starts putting a bunch of crazy hate stuff out there is speaking the truth. I'm just saying, don't they have the freedom to do that? And don't we have the freedom to not listen to them? Anyways, moving on. And if you are a Christian and you're looking at this stuff, it's kind of freaking you out. Oh, another thing that they said in the article, almost forgot this, that, let me see if I can go down here and find it. Let me see if I can find this in the article. Because if you're a Christian, you're going to want to see this part. Okay, blah, 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 yada, yada, yada. For example, in recent weeks, cluster, oh man, I'm not going to be able to find it. I know it's on here. I know I read it. I'll just tell you what it was. Okay, here we go. They signal their beliefs in other ways. So this article says that these hate groups, they're not just coming right out and saying their agenda. They're using innuendos and covert speech so that they can avoid AI, so they can avoid detection. It's what they're accusing them of. And this is where it gets hairy, because they're going to come along and they're going to find a joke meme that you post, and they're going to say, that's hate speech. And here's the proof of it right here. They signal their beliefs in other ways. A Christian cross emoji in their profile, or let me just stop there. A Christian cross emoji in their profile. That can be construed as, these people are haters. You're a white supremacist if you've got a Christian cross emoji on your thing, on your profile. That is scary as hell if you allow it to scare you. People, where are the Christians? Where are the Christians? Why are they not speaking up and saying, hey man, that's not all of us? I digress from that. Listen though, if you are a Christian, and this is what I'm hearing in the mainstream churches, the mainstream Christian groups and everything else, is that, well, of course the world is getting horrible right now. I've read the end of the book. I know that it gets horrible and that the wrath of God is going to come out. And this seems to be the mainstream consensus from a lot of Christians. Their belief is Jesus is coming back and he's going to take the church out of here. Then the world will be left to itself, and then God will make them pay for what they did to us. You know what that sounds like to me? That just sounds like victimhood. And there's no victimhood in Christ. Anybody who is a Christian is Christ-like. And Christ never, ever, ever saw himself as a victim. As a matter of fact, he didn't even let other people around him see themselves as a victim. He went on with this whole big long preach on the side of a mountain called the Beatitudes and the Sermon on the Mount, in which he says, what are you, poor? You're not as poor as you think you are. You're going to inherit something great. What are you, meek? You're not weak like the world tells you you are. You're going to get something better than this. All these people who had these characteristics of a victim, Jesus would not allow them to continue in their victimhood ways. He preached against it. But yet here we are. Mainstream Christian thought about the return of Jesus Christ is he's going to take us out of here. Then the world will get what's coming to him. Guys, I don't get that impression when I read the book. I've read the end of the Bible. I've seen how it's going to end according to the book of Revelation. I read that, and in Thessalonians, it talks about the man of perdition is going to come, and then it's just going to be crappy. It's going to be really bad. There's going to be a great falling away, and he's going to seduce all these people into thinking that he's got the truth, and people are going to listen to it. But a little something interesting that it throws in there. Just before it talks about the man of perdition, it talks about the restrainer, the one that holds back these delusions. Actually, it says that the delusions come from God himself, that God sends a delusion to the people. But it says that there is a restrainer, and many believe that that restrainer is the church. I can see that. I would agree with that. I would agree. And when you get to Revelation, it talks about a beast that comes up out of the water. This is a vision, of course, but stick with me. And the beast and this and that and the other, and the dragon, Satan, gives power and authority to this beast to wage war against who? Against the Christians. And not only does he have the power and authority to wage war against the Christians, he has the power and the authority to overcome the Christians. And I'm getting there. And here it is. In the end times, I don't really know that the restrainer is going to be removed because Jesus is going to come back and get him out of the way and bail him out. It's okay, guys. You don't have to do anything. I'm here. I'm rescuing you. You're the maiden, the damsel in distress, and here I am rescuing you. What I see is that the reason that the restrainers moved out of the way is because they've either been imprisoned or killed for their beliefs. It's not going to be very popular to be a Christian as the world continues to slide deeper and deeper and deeper into a delusion sent by God himself. Revelation also talks about a bunch of martyrs, that the end won't come until all the martyrs, those that are supposed to die for Christ, for the gospel of Christ, for the truth, be martyred. That doesn't mean go blow yourself up and kill other people. That means they kill you. That means you suffer death, not them. So I hear all this. Jesus is going to come back. Then they'll pay. Let me tell you something. You're going to be judged on your capacity to forgive. And if your attitude is the world's going to get what it's got coming to it, that doesn't sound very forgiving. That sounds in no way, shape, or form forgiving if you ask me. But why ask me? I'm just a guy. Let's ask God. We got to endure all things. Like I said, we got to ask God. Let's look to the example that we have in our brother, Jesus Christ. How did he handle being a victim? He endured it. How did he handle his friends betraying him to the point of death? He endured it. Guys, here is the Christian call to arms for this day and age. For all the things that's happening to us, we're being persecuted. If we put a Christian emoji in our profile, we're being called racist. If we say anything against the LGBTQ community, we're bigots. Here's the call to arms. It's not get mad at the king because he's evil. The king has different priorities. This world has different priorities. And the king of this world has different priorities than us. It's not our place to judge him. Here's what we got to do. We got to learn how to endure all things, just like our example, our master, Jesus Christ. He went before us and he showed us how to deal with things like this. He just endured it. And he endured it because his relationship with his heavenly Father was the number one thing in his life, more important than anything else. And here's how we learn to endure all things. We get out of our imagination. Get out of your imagination. You can't trust not one of your thoughts. They're not your thoughts. So you got to stop living from your imagination. And you got to forgive. as you have been forgiven. Remember that. Anytime you think that you have the right to judge somebody else, you got to remember, you know what? You were forgiven for all the things you did. You can't hold anything against any other person. You got to forgive them to set yourself free. Because that's what Jesus did while on the cross. Forgive them, Lord, because they don't realize what they're doing. They're under the control of the evil one. And you're not in charge of your life. You are a slave. You're either a slave to God and his will, or you are a slave to Satan and his will. And you're going to do whatever the priority of your leader is, whoever your master is, whoever you're a slave to. It's that simple. You got to get out of your imagination. Strongly suggest you do that, because every single thought in there, it's not real. You're either dwelling on the past or you're looking to the future, which is not there yet. It's not there. You don't know what's going to happen. You can't read the Bible and go, oh, this is what's going to happen. I've got it all figured out. And you got to forgive. I'm going to end there. But it is spiritual warfare happening right now. And it's against the Christians. And what the world wants you to do is get riled up and emotional and pick a side. They want you to join with them over here. They want you to join with these people. They want to classify everybody. These are the woke people. These are the LGBTQ people. These are the racist people. These are the normal people. It doesn't matter. They want to get you part of a group. Don't do it. Don't fall for it. You got to be an individual. Come to the Heavenly Father alone. Stand alone, get out of your imagination, and go and forgive. That's the only way to overcome this world. That's the only way to endure all the way to the end, even if that means death. For you, not for them, but for you.